Yes, after being in that disgusting town we both needed after the things we have gotten. He spoke. Well, I'm not taking a bath with you. You spoke. This is just. I'm not doing it. You spoke. Kai stopped, then turned to you. Do you wish to be dirty? He asked, looking with a disgust face. Fine, but not in the same bath as you. You huffed, walking ahead. You had remembered how to get there because of how many times you had been, quote-unquote, dirtied by someone or something. The room was kind of remembered you of an Osan, most of the time only having warm water. You had gotten into one of the many similar rooms of warm water that ran throughout the whole bathing rooms, all leading to one main one. As you placed your clothes on the bench, once you got there, you walked to the bath and slowly walked into the warm water. It had been months since you saw that. Since that being poison and all. And now, just a couple of days, you were poisoned. Yay. How could the thing still be alive? Was it because you were a yokai? You were just confused. That was when you heard the door open. You turned around and saw Kai. Get out! You covered your body. Why should I? He closed the door and walked to the bench and began undressing. You quickly turned as not to see him. You heard his footsteps on the rock floor and he went into the water. He sat next to you. Looked away from him. That was when you were picked up and placed on his lap. Ah, Kai! You panicked. It's just stop squirming. You're gonna get water everywhere. He spat. You had stopped squirming, eyes wide as you realized you were sitting on his lap still. Just stay calm. You felt his head on your hair. You could hear him take a breath of you, holding you lovingly. Held your stomach. You could feel his hands lightly move, as if rubbing circles. Please, let me go, Kai. You spoke, and all he did was continue. Tomorrow, we'll have a meeting. You will sit right next to me. This will officially make us the masters of this house. He had begun to lay kisses on your neck. I want you to be good during the meeting. Clear? He spoke. You thought for a moment. You're fine. Yes, I'll be good. You spoke through your teeth. Good. He let go of you and you quickly moved away from him, covering what he could see, since the water was a bit bluish and misty. Kai, must you have to make me uncomfortable? You asked. That's a stupid question. I'm your husband, after all. He spoke. I wouldn't call it that. I'm your toy. You spoke. And if looks could kill, you'd be dead. Kai didn't say anything. The only thing he did was look at you. From the moment you came here, you had nothing but interest me. You know so much more that I don't. And the cyanide caught my attention. He spoke, and you looked confused. How did you cut yourself off? And with education, a good one at that. You're not a dumb, stupid girl. You strategize. And those friends of yours had no brains. You looked dumbfounded. Were you the demon who we met? You shouted. No, but the moment you stepped foot in the place, I knew, even the master. He spoke, looking at you. You were much smarter than your friends. You could tell someone was watching, he spoke. Who was watching me? You asked. Mimic. Who else would be watching? And who saved us? Oh, who scared us? I'm gonna butcher his name, but Katsukama. Oh, and the other big guy? He was always watching outside like a guard dog. I see. Thank you for answering my questions. You walked to the side, going to grab a towel. Good night. You spoke, leaving the room. What confused you was that you still were affected by the heat of the water. You grabbed the spare kimono on the side, since yours had gone wet thanks to you, and put it on. You headed to the bedroom. As you got there, you climbed into bed, feeling the nice, smooth covers, and feeling tired. Closing your eyes. You woke up with Kai by your side, and you felt terrible. As you quickly got up and ran out of the room, running into Yona as you passed her. You opened the door that led to the outside, and you threw up everything you had eaten yesterday. You could hear Yona come to your side, placing the tray away from you and rubbing your back. Once you had finished puking, you looked at her. What time is it? You asked. Around 5:30. You then looked shocked, feeling tears run down your face. And I feel so bad, you cried. Oh, my Yin. What am I going to do with you? She sighed, shaking her head. As she helped you up and walked into your room with the tray in the other hand. Once at the room, Kai had been awake with a scowl on his face. I'm sorry, she was puking. As she said, as you cried. She placed the tray next to the bed. There, Yin, it's fine. There's nothing to worry about. She smiled, with the sweet words she had given you, had calmed you down. Now, are you hungry? She asked as you only nodded. But what if I puke it up? You asked as you sniffed. Yona looked so done with life when you asked that. Just eat, she spat. Okay. You spoke, going to the table that was in the room. Yona placed down both trays as Kai sat opposite of you. Yona had sat next to you as you fed her some of it, making sure it was all good and not poisoned. Kai had finished before and headed into his office. Also, you have a letter, Yona whispered, as she gave you a letter. From who? You asked. Yona looked to the office and at you. Lady, she spoke, and you knew who it was. She placed it on the table and cleaned up the plates. You opened the letter, taking out the piece of paper, seeing the little kid handwriting. You read it, lightly laughing at her spelling. Yin, I'll get you ready when I'm done putting this in the kitchen. Yona spoke, walking out of the room. Okay, you spoke, walking to the bookshelf and grabbing the same golden book. Grabbing it and sitting on the bed. Reading the beautifully written book. Sorry, my bad. A couple of kids traveling to a world to save their lands. Yin, do you like daydreaming? Yona teased. Huh? You asked. Come on, Kai's already out and you need to get ready. She spoke. You placed the book on the bed and got up. You were ready, Yona at your side. You ready? She asked. Yes, you nodded, looking straight ahead. Lady Yin has arrived. Yona spoke before the doors opened and you walked in, Kai sitting where you once saw the master. You walked in and sat next to Kai, Yona being in the room. Now, let us begin, spoke a man. The more you listened, the more you got bored and tired, and to the point where you had not yawned. Getting so tired that you had accidentally laid your head on Kai's shoulder, falling asleep. Kai had noticed this and held you so you wouldn't fall. The more the meeting went on, the more gossip went up. How rude is she? She has no respect. I wouldn't dare. But that all stopped, thanks to Kai. He placed his hand up in the air and looked at everyone. The rumors will stop now. She has had a hard morning because she is pregnant. If I hear these rumors continue, I'll kill whoever started and spoke of them. Kai then looked at the man to speak again. The more the meeting went on, the longer you slept. And the more you accidentally nuzzled into the warm thing that you were next to. Also, it smelled so great, like a dream within a dream. Just imagining whatever this was. God, you wished it was something good. But when the meeting was over, Kai picked you up bridal style and carried you, Yona trailing behind him. If I may speak, it looks like because of this morning she is like this. Yona spoke, hoping for Kai not to be in a bad mood. It looks to be. Kai spoke. Yona opened the door for both of them, Kai placing you on the bed and pulling the blankets over you. I'll be on my way. Kai spoke, leaving the room. Yona bowed and left as he left. She looked at you, going to you. You looked a little different. She placed her hand on your forehead, feeling that you had gone a little heated. Were you sick or poisoned once again? Okay, no more incense, she mumbled, breaking off the tips of the incense. She then walked back to you and looked over. You looked fine, but she'll get you some medicine. So she got up and went to get some, brought it back, and fed it to you. She wondered why you had gotten sick. Maybe the cold? Or was it the baby? Yes, maybe that. She wasn't used to this. But as you slept, you dreamt of something. You had someone in your arms in the garden. The girl you had in your lap continued to ask things you couldn't even comprehend. Many things were starting to go through your head, and you wondered what they meant. Seeing a young girl. Was it Ari? That was when you woke up. To do the same thing as yesterday, running and throwing everything you just ate. Yona being at your side. I'm tired of this shit, you spoke, putting your head on the railing. It will get better, just 7 weeks to go, or in your case, 6 and 5 days. You looked straight at her. Really? Yes, she nodded in a sigh. Great. You teared. Do you need anything before I must leave? You looked at Yona. What do you mean? You asked. Oh, I have been asked to get some herbs for tonight. You said, okay. You heard her begin to walk. Oh. And Yona? She looked at you. Yes, my lady? She asked. When you're there, could you get me some paint and something to paint on? You spoke, poking her. Yes, my lady, but I'll have to ask the master. You nodded, and she went on her way. The two of you outside of the room and alone weren't used to formalities, but in public, where everyone could see the two of you, you two must, or it was a sign of pure disrespect, and she would have been hit because of it. You got up and walked on the igwa, seeing everyone taking care of the flowers. That was when you saw Kai walking over to you. How are you feeling? He asked. The same as always, hungry and tired. Kai then walked to you. Why do you wish to paint so bad? He asked. I don't know. Bored with reading? I could also write, but I kind of want to paint. You spoke. Kai only sighed. All right. He then put his hand on your shoulder and leaned into your ear. Tomorrow, we will have someone coming. He then looked at your face, and you slapped away his hand. Yes, I know, you don't like it when others touch me, but I think I can take care of myself. You then walked past him. You didn't feel bad for the guy. Heck, maybe you'll play with a new person. And Kai, actually, you may die because... The dead one? Oh, you may die because... Yeah, you know. When you were walking, you saw the old lady from dinner. No, you could just see her feet. She looked to be a Tengu. She had been talking to another one. She then looked at you. Oh, hello, Lady Yin. She smiled as you stopped in front of her. I must ask. Why are you here? Oh, I must ask. Why are you here today? You asked as you tilted your head. Oh, my, can't I pay my respects to the old master? She spoke. And give you a congratulations for becoming the lady of the house. Your face fell. Where was this when we first met? Huh? You tilted your head again. Her face looked to go flatter a bit. Last time, you were here. All you had tried to do was make a mockery out of me. And I will not stand for that. You spoke, your tone stern. Do you have no respect for your elders? She spat, coming closer to you. As her hand raised to hit you, you grabbed it, holding it tight. Don't you even dare hit me. You spoke, throwing her arm away from you. I advise you to be careful in my house. You spoke, walking away. She was shocked by your actions. The once quiet and timid girl she met was now a girl who was quick to temper. My lady, spoke a girl behind you, running with a couple things in hand. Have you seen Miss Yona? She was supposed to help me with something. The girl looked down. She must have seen what happened. And what would that be? You asked, much calmer than with the old hag. I am new, and I keep messing things up. The girl spoke, looking down with tears in her eyes. I am to do cleaning, and I can't get these stains out, she cried. You walked up to her and calmly grabbed her by the cheek. Then let me help. You smiled, and she stopped crying. Oh, my, I couldn't. She backed away. You giggled and motioned for her to follow you. Believe it or not, but I used to work here. Her face was now shocked. She followed you as you opened the door, and there was some who looked at you. What stains are you having trouble getting out? You asked as she followed. She hurried and got the blanket. I don't know what it is. She teared. You grabbed the fabric in hand and felt it. The others watched as you carefully looked at it. Go get some rice water. You spoke to one of them. They nodded and went to get it. Once they returned, you got a towel and dipped it in the water. See, it's rust. I had this problem sometimes, but it was quickly cleaned by Yona. I know some of you are new, so if you need help, please either come to me or Yona. Preferably Yona first. As you giggled, cleaning the stain off. Thank you, many of them said. There is no need to. You spoke, leaving the room, waving them goodbye. As you walked from the room, you could hear them talking about you, and in the good way. You were just glad you did something that wasn't the same as always. Lady Yin, you heard Chrono's voice from ahead of you. Yes, you spoke. Kai wishes to see you. He spoke. Great. What was it now? Did he know about what you just did? No, it just happened. You nodded, following the man as you went to a new room. Chrono opened the door, and your eyes shot open. Was this the office of the previous master? It looked to be something of an emperor would have. This room was dark grayish purple, with painted golden lotuses on the wall. You were just surprised at how luxurious it was. And when you looked down, it seemed like you were walking on water. Koi could be seen swimming around. Yin, you heard Kai break your thoughts. Chrono, you may leave. Kai spoke as he walked up to you. Chrono nodded and left the room. What do you want from me? You spoke. Your mood had changed from a 180. Why did he want to see you? Was it just to play with you, or to talk to more sense into you, as he put it? Yone came back, so here. He then took your hands and placed 2 containers. You then looked at the 2, seeing one was gold and the other was black. Paint is not cheap. Remember that. He spoke, then walked to his desk. And what am I going to paint on? He looked at you and raised a bow. Oh, yeah, paper. He then sat at his desk. Also, this room will also be your office, he spoke as you were walking away. What? I have to do work? You teared. You heard him sigh. Yes, as the mistress of the house, it is your duty, even if you don't have as much work as me. Good. You huffed before leaving the room. You looked at the paint in hand, seeing that it was probably around 12 ounces. Which, okay, but how much did this cost? That was the real question. You should ask Yona. But where was she? Maybe she was in the room waiting for you? You walked to the room and saw she wasn't there. Maybe I can go steal some paper from Kai's office. You spoke, walking over and looking through the drawers. Most of them had used paper, but when you found at least one paper and nothing on it, you took it, giggling as you took one of his less used brushes. You left the door and sat down at the chujaba, or the table you had been sitting earlier. Placing the 2 paints down and brush where it would not be touched on the table. Shit, I need water. You spoke out to yourself. But where can I get some? You spoke to yourself once more. That was when you realized it was either going to be the koi pond in the front, the osan, or the kitchen. You definitely weren't going to get it from the osan. Gross. The kitchen would ask why, so I guess the poor koi wouldn't mind, right? They didn't, but people working did, wondering what on earth you would need it for. See? She needs it for the flowers that are dying over there, spoke a familiar voice from behind you. Oh my, sorry then, my lady, thank you. Then quickly ran to water the wilting flowers. You looked over to see the same girl you helped from before.